This box is full of forest magic, and one little detail sparked a project I didn't see coming. So let's unbox it together because you don't want to miss what's inside. Hey there, I'm Dina. Today I'm unboxing the newest Softflex Design Challenge Kit, Enchanted Forest. We'll explore all the whimsical beads and findings inside, plus a gorgeous strand from the Jesse James beads that I added on. And who knows, one of these just might inspire a little forest magic of its own. Alrighty, so let's get to opening up our Enchanted Forest Design Challenge Kit by Softflex Company that is being released in July of 2025. So meet me back in just a moment and I'll get the contents opened up of this and we'll start looking at this one by one. And then at the end we'll do a close-up look of what is on the extra strand that you can purchase. And then after that we'll come back and do a short tutorial. We'll figure that out while we're unboxing everything. So meet me back in just a moment. Alrighty, so here is the first half of the items that you get in this Enchanted Forest box. First thing you start off with is you always get a full spool of wire. This month we're going to get the dark blue lapis color, which is amazing because I'm almost out of my blue and I love this color. I love it. I love that dark blue color. So you get a full spool of that. Next items that you get are 20 pieces of 2x2mm sterling silver crimp tubes. Always good crimp tubes to use, especially with your magical crimper. You get 2 pairs of ear wires, and they are silver plated and they have the little ball at the end. So you get 2 pairs of that. You get a 12mm silver plated lobster claw clasp. Then we start getting into some of the beads. You have the teeny tiny ceramic butterflies. You end up with a total of 5, and I'm sure you're going to get different colors and everything. I ended up getting 2 colors, or 2 of the purples. I got this one, and then I ended up with another one that was green on the edge. So I ended up with 5 of those. So very, very cute. Then you also have a fairy button, which I thought this was going to be more like a pendant, but they're calling it a button. So look at the detail on that. Very, very cute. And the back side is just as cute. And then there's your shank for your button. So you can use it as a button, and I was actually kind of thinking about using it in a necklace. Just stringing back along behind it and everything, and that be the pendant for a necklace. So it might work. We'll see if that happens. Alright, next things that you get are some green flower ceramic beads. So here are your beads. They look to be somewhere around 10 to 12 millimeters, somewhere like that, and I ended up with 3, 6, 9. I got 9 of these guys. So very pretty. You get a cute little pendant. It is a pewter dragonfly. Just look how cute this little guy is. That's so cool. And then there's the back of it. So really like that. Really does look like a dragonfly. You get a custom bead mix. This is, let me see where it's at on my list. Yeah, it's just check glass bead mix. So you'll get 3 different types of beads in the bead mix. You have something that looks kind of like a fluted bicone or just a rondelle with some detail on the side. You get these different types of drops that I have not seen in quite some time. I used to have some of these in a box, and when I say quite some time, it was probably like maybe 7 years ago when I got these in a box. So I haven't seen this shape in a long time. And then you also get a little bit of this as well. Now these beads are kind of a diamond shape and they are matte on the edge. So that makes it kind of neat and interesting. So it's kind of like a diamond shape with the hole going down the center. You also end up getting some check glass green emerald squares. So I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. And that's what that is. And then your hole goes down the center of the square. And these are just downright beautiful. These are really nice. These are 14mm check glass 2-tone purple satin fire polish. And each one of them is a little bit different than the other. but these are just gorgeous. I love the deep color purple anyway, but these are just really, really pretty. And each one of them is different. And I ended up with 3, 5, 7 of these. So that is the first half of the box. So meet me back in just a second and we'll go through the Jesse James bead mix that comes with the box. Alrighty, so here is the Jesse James custom bead mix that comes in the Enchanted Forest kit for this month. So we'll go through each one of these really quickly. So we get some really, really large rondelles. And these are dark in color, and it's got that nice metallic blue on the outside of it. So very nice, very pretty. Would go along with that, with the wire very well. You get some nice large crystal ovals that have like an AB finish on it, or some sort of finish to make it look purple and blue. So it goes along very, very nice with the Kent. You get some other ovals that are matte on the outside again, and they're a little bit more clear on the inside. And these are kind of a green color. So the crystal on the inside is green, and then you have that matte coating on the outside that's like a different shade of green. Then you have 4 of these guys that look like they're kind of like a twisted bicone in a way, but they're extremely large. So very, very nice to get some of these big, large beads. Something different to work with. You get 4 of these leaves, and the whole of the leaf goes down the center of the leaf right here. So it goes here, this one goes that way. You get 6 of these matte round beads that are probably 8mm beads, but they're a matte purple. You get 4 of these flowers, and they are, it looks to be kind of like a green, like maybe almost like an olivine type crystal green, and then it has that same coating or a similar coating to this, and it makes it look almost a little bit more like purple and blue, and you can see a little bit of orange sometimes in there. I don't know if it's just because of my lighting or what, but those are really pretty. I like those. Then you get a large assortment of bicones. These look to be about 6mm in bicones, and it's like a light purplish pink color. Then you get to more of the findings, or the spacers and stuff like that for this. These are some just round silver spacers. These are very, very light, so these would work very well in earrings because they are very, very light. But they're just round silver beads. You get these spacers, and they are the same on both sides. You get 2 of those. And then you end up with some washer type spacers. And you get 3, that's 7, 10, 12. You get 12 of these guys. So all of that came in this one little container. So that is the Jesse James bead mix for the Enchanted Forest. So meet me back and we'll go through the extra purchase strand that is also made by Jesse James. Alrighty, so let's go through the Jesse James bead strand that you can purchase as an extra purchase along with the box. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave everything on the strand this time and just hold it up and show you what's on it. So we'll end up with a nice green color bicone. You get some of these leaf spacers right here. So it's a 4-leaf type spacer, or bead cap, I guess is a better way of saying it. You get an opaque rondelle. That is a nice green color. It's almost an olivine green again. You get this, I'm not even sure what size or what shape to call that other than a hexagon, but it's sparkly and it is opaque also. But it's also got kind of a little bit of a yellowish tint to it too. You get more of these crystal rondelles. I love these guys. When you reckon, especially earrings, and you just want to have just a little bit of crystal, but not too much to overpower things, these things are really nice to use. You get several of these leaves, because they're here in the center, and then everything repeats down here in the bottom too. So you get several of these leaves. So it's kind of like a maple leaf, I think is the right leaf for that, maybe. Then you get more of these ovals. This is very similar to the ovals that we got in the bead mix, except they are just an emerald green color. There's no coating to it or anything. Then you get some more bead caps. This one looks kind of like goes along with the maple leaf theme, I feel like. So that's what that bead cap looks like. Then you get some crystally pave beads that are probably acrylic beads, and then they have little flat back crystals that have been glued on or resined onto the bead itself, and it's like a light green color, and then the crystals on top are kind of that the coating, I want to say it's Maria coating, where it's kind of more of a yellowish coating to it. I may be wrong on the coating, but that's kind of what it looks like. That's what I remember it to be called. Then you get these two large, very lightweight spacer beads also. You can kind of see hearts right there. There's a heart right there. So these are very, very detailed. Kind of hard to pick up on the camera itself, but these are very, very detailed, but very lightweight, so something nice to use in earrings, again, if you want to have a nice chunky earring. And then you got more of your maple leaves, more of your spacers, and then this is the center of the strand. You have another hexagon in a slightly different color. Now this one does look like it has a coating on it. It might be that Maria coating again. I'm not sure exactly which coating it's called, but it's got a little bit of a coating on it to make you look like it has blues and greens and everything on the crystal. And then it starts to repeat after that. So that is the bead strand that you can purchase as an add-on to your design challenge kit. So meet me back in just a moment. I will have a supplies needed screen after this to let you know what type of supplies you're going to need in order to make whatever I'm going to end up making. So I'll meet you back in just a moment. So for this project, I believe I'm going to do a necklace. So I already have everything all laid out in the pattern that I'm going to string onto the wire. So I'm going to use the wire that came with the kit. And then the only thing extra that you're going to need are going to be your seed beads. So these are the silver line crystal seed beads, and I have a method to my madness on this one. So the silver line crystal, or any type of silver line seed bead, even if it is Duracoat or Permafinish if you're using Toho, something like that, that silver lining over time will eventually fade. So my method to my madness is that we're using the crystal beads, so whenever that silver lining does fade, then you start to see the blue from your wire peek through. So it'll kind of change the necklace as time goes on, and how much time that you, or how many times that you wear it and things like that. So that's my method to my madness. So I've already pre-strung this on just to see how much, how long this is going to be. When you put all of these beads on, it's going to be somewhere around 10 inches. I'm shooting for a 18-inch necklace, which means we'll have to add a total of 7 inches of seed beads on either end, 7 inches total on the ends, which means 3.5 on either end of seed beads. That is going to be an approximate amount of 45 seed beads of your 8/0 seed beads. So I've already got the 45 already on here, so you don't have to watch me string on 45 of those. And then we're going to start with the pattern. I'm going to start with one of the bicones. In between our patterns, I'm going to put another 8/0 seed bead. So bicone is one pattern. The second one is going to be one of the silver washers, the purple bead, the matte purple bead, and then a silver washer. That'll be the second one. So in between that and the next one, we're going to put an 8/0 seed bead. Now, whoops, don't throw your 8/0 seed bead all over the place. You get back on there. There we go. So now we're going to put on our flowers. I want all of my flowers to be sitting in this fashion. So the hole to this flower goes in this direction. So you're always going to have one opening at one of the tips of the petals, and then you'll have the other opening in between two petals. So in this case, when we're first starting out, we want to go from the tip of the petal to the spot that is in between the petals. So tip to in between. Then we'll put on another seed bead, and then we do another one of the same pattern. So we do a bicone, we pick up our washer and purple pattern, always putting seed beads in between, and then we're coming up to our next flower, so we want to make sure that we're going through the tip of the flower towards in between the petals. So the tip of the petal towards in between the petals. Then we're going to pick up one of these antique silver colored spacer beads. We're going to pick up another bicone, and then we're going to pick up one of our larger ovals. Do another bicone, and now we're getting to our little fairy. So in between the fairy, we're going to have a series of seed beads back behind the fairy to help keep it in place. To do that, I counted out, I think it was 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seed beads. So put 7 seed beads on, and then we're going to go through the back of our fairy. And then we're going to start again. So we'll put 7 seed beads on, and then we're going to do a bicone. So basically we're doing the same pattern that we did, just in the opposite. And then when we get to our flowers, that is going to be the only difference. Is now we want our flower to still sit like this, where the top of it's going to be facing, the top petal is going to be facing upwards, but now we have to go in between the 2 petals and come out through the top of the petal, just like that. So that's the only difference on this side. And then we're going to continue adding all the rest of these. And I'll show you what it looks like here in a second, and then I'll break off and I will add the rest of the 45 seed beads on this other side, and then I will come back and show you how to crimp off, just in case you're not familiar with crimping off. So I've got 2 more beads to add after this, and my daughter's making lunch in the other room, and then this is what it looks like when you get everything strung on. Whoops, and you can't see it. So there we go. That's what it looks like when you get everything strung on. So I'm going to go ahead and add my extra 45 beads over here off to the side, and then I will come back and I will show you how to measure how to cut off and how to crimp everything down. So I'll be back in just a second. So now I have everything all strung on, and the first thing you want to do, I've already gone ahead and cut off and crimped this other side, so I'll show you how to do it and do the crimping on this other end. But the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you lay out your necklace, and before you cut off from the spool, you want to make sure that everything looks good, that you're not missing anything, that you didn't skip any beads by accident, things look nice, they're laying the way that you want it to, and all of that. So I was already okay with that, so that's why I went ahead and crimped off the one end. So now what you want to do is you want to leave yourself enough room to where you can comfortably add your crimp tube on this side. So to do that, I'm just moving my beads. I'm making sure my beads are still kind of tight on the necklace or on the strand, and I'm just moving everything down and giving myself about 4 finger widths of wire to be able to add this other crimp tube. And that's probably more than enough, but it's one of those things that I like to have just a little bit extra just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and put the crimp tube on first. This side is going to be the right side of the necklace, so this will be, since our pendant is facing, you're seeing the backwards part of the pendant, So that's how you can tell that this is going to be the right side of the necklace. So this will be the part that I will put the lobster clasp on. So don't forget to add that. And then I'm going to go back through the crimp tube, and I'm going to go ahead and go back through one of the 8/0 seed beads. I like to use 8/0 seed beads when I'm using the soft flex wire, because I know the soft flex will go through the 8/0 seed bead twice. And then I'm just moving this down till I have about that amount of room left over, because you want the loops to be just about the same. And before you get too far into this, you want to make sure that you're not making things too tight. To do that, you just twist up your necklace and make sure that things still have a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm actually going to loosen this up just a little bit to give it a little bit more wiggle room, and make sure that things can actually move and not be too tight on the necklace. Once you're happy with the tightness of it, then make sure your loop is about where you want it. This still gives my lobster clasp plenty of room to be able to move around. And then here in a second, I'm going to move that 8/0 seed bead out of the way. So now I have a little bit of a gap, but when you put this necklace on, you're not going to notice that gap. And now I'm going to crimp down. So I'm putting that crimp tube in the middle of my magical crimpers. Just make sure it's in the middle portion of it. And then once you're happy with the placement, then you squish down. When you squish down, it should make a little flattened square like that. Turn it 90 degrees. Get it back into the center of your pliers, and then squish again. And then now all you have to do is just turn it just a little bit, a couple of times, and squish. And that will actually round out the edges of that square that we made to where it will eventually look like another bead on your necklace, like that. So that is done. So now all you have to do is just cut off your excess of your wire. Now I would suggest to go ahead and keep this excess of wire, because you never know when you're going to need it for another project, and you'll need some extra little bulk in order to crimp off on your project. So I actually have a bag that I just keep with all my extra little pieces of wire that I use for my different projects. So that way I have a color set aside for everything. Alright, so this is this part of the necklace. The only thing we have left to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a jump ring. And this wire is actually strong enough to where if you just want to clip onto the loop that you created on the back of the necklace, then it would be perfectly fine. I do like to use jump rings though, just in case. Jump rings also help me to add length to a necklace if I need to. So we're going to put that on and then close up the jump ring. And then now you have a completed necklace that we made with the Enchanted Forest Soft Flex Design Challenge Kit for July of 2025. If you're curious about how I used these enchanted elements, you'll definitely want to stick around for more. Want to keep exploring magical and creative designs? Check out my full Soft Flex playlist down below. Each kit tells a different story, and each project is full of inspiration. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know, what would you make with this fairy-inspired collection?